Is it possible to, as Credit Suisse did today, trim your numbers for the year, but also raise your price target for year end because you believe investors are not done re-risking?
I think you can do that if you want to raise multiples and you think the rate structure is headed lower, or you think the Fed's going to act more dovishly than what's priced into the market. But I think more importantly, based on your initial discussions at the top of the hour, Carl, is this idea is it a growth story or is it an inflation story? Are we seeing the market move to a lower growth expectation, or are we just finally pricing in the fact that there are a lot more disinflation risks than inflation risks out there? And I would argue it's the latter. We saw a weak CPI last week. We saw weak PPI. We continue to see weak export and import prices. And this is all with the unemployment rate at 3.8 or sub 4%, and having been sub 4.5% for over 2 years now, which is what most economists would call a hot economy that can't seem to generate inflation. So I think the real story is inflation or lack of it. I think the Fed's had to recognize it, and I think that's really where the rate market's repricing to, and that's what's repricing the equity market.
Greg, the significance of that technical level we were talking about, breaching, going past 2,800, going past the levels that have failed so many times in the past, does that do anything to change the technical or even sentiment picture of the market?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the U.S. equity market rallied and failed October, November, December, the 2,800 level. So having traded up through that last week, I think it's going to start to drag reluctant bulls back into the market. We had the options expiry, the quarterly expiry last Friday. We think that's going to remove some of the overhang of long gamma positions that have potentially been kind of pinning the market closer to that 2,800 position. And we think while volatility remains low, this is going to drag reluctant bulls back into the market, and we're going to see some of the systematic strategies re-lever. Our longer-term views on the market are relatively cautious, but we think in the short term this could drive a little bit of a squeeze higher.